Ladies and gentlemen, we are standing at ground zero for Tiki people. Because this building behind me was once the great Oceanic Arts, the epicenter of all things Tiki. So much Tiki decor came through these hallowed walls, and of course so many crazy, iconic Tikis, including all different kinds of Tikis that were at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, were created here by the legendary artist Leroy Schmaltz, who is now sadly no longer with us. And of course, Oceanic Arts has closed down a couple of years ago, their main business. Well, turns out there was a little bit of a warehouse sale after that, and then there was a fixture sale, and now, finally, this weekend is the final sweeping out the warehouse, very last chance for people to come down and see anything at Oceanic Arts, because they are actually selling the building and selling off whatever's left of the fixtures, whatever's left from filing cabinet drawers. They found artwork, they found weird statues, they found all kinds of stuff, and we're about to head inside one last time together to hang out with the son of Leroy Schmaltz, Christopher Schmaltz, and see what the heck is going on as we say goodbye one last time to Oceanic Arts. All right, Chris, what is going on? I thought Oceanic Arts was closed. What's happening in here?
Whew, I'll tell you what, it has closed.
Right.
Because people can't just come in here. But we had a big, huge sale, a giant warehouse sale. There was 450 people here.
Yeah, I saw.
And then the next day, there was a couple hundred more. And then there was so much stuff left over that we were like, let's just open on Thursdays for the next month.
Yep.
And people came every Thursday.
Including me. I was here almost
every Thursday.
You were here
almost every Thursday, and I thought everything was gone.
It was getting emptier and emptier and emptier.
Then somebody said, well, actually several people were like, can you do that on a Saturday? Because we can't get there while we're at work.
Right.
And so we're like, okay, let's do it on a Saturday, but let's call it a halt so we can make sure we get everything out here, because we're not doing it again.
Right. You were finding stuff in the rafters. You were finding stuff in back offices.
There's a library back there. There's all the front offices. There's storage rooms. So we're digging out all this stuff, and we just want to get it done. I've set my life on hold for an entire year to help Bob transition out of here and to do it well. And this is it. So this weekend, we have a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, as I've gone through it, I'm walking down memory lane, but a lot of it's from before my time.
Right.
There's menus from all kinds of Trader Vic's and Don the Beachcomber stuff. There's ephemera everywhere. There's posters galore. There's a lot of Oceanic Arts ephemera as well. You know, I think we've got drawings of my dad's of lamps and tiki scenes and all kinds of blueprint stuff over and over again. Then we just got stuff. We have all of his reference books over there that he used for his art over the years. We're selling all of that things. We've got magazines, the Tiki magazines. I think every single issue.
Okay, well, let's go take a look. Let's take a look at all this stuff. Okay, what the heck is this? Look at this. Where did you find this? I don't remember seeing a giant Oceanic Arts sign.
I never saw this either. And then we were pulling out all the wood, because there's more wood than, you could build a small city. And this is sitting behind there. And Bob's like, I've never seen that. And I'm like, Bob, you have to have seen it.
Yeah, it must have been on one of the buildings.
It had to have been on one of the buildings. It wasn't on this building, but it was on the building before.
Okay, so what we're going to...
213, it's not that area code anymore.
Oh, hey, so what we're going to see in here is what's left after the big auctions, the big warehouse sale, all of the Thursday sales. This was stuff that was still stashed away in every nook and cranny in this giant, crazy warehouse. Okay, so let's go see some of it. So this is the reference library you're telling us about.
Yes.
So this is what's left of your dad's reference library. Maybe this is a good time for you to tell us who your dad was for the people that don't really know who Leroy Schmaltz was.
Well, my dad is Leroy Schmaltz. He was a father and a husband and a tiki carver. And he had a lot of friends over the years from doing this kind of business. And he's well loved, as you know.
Yes.
I know you love him.
I loved Leroy. I renamed my garage the Leroy E. Schmaltz Memorial Workshop. I think about him every day that I go in there.
I've seen people with tattoos of my dad on their arm. I mean, it's
really
nonstop.
Someone got a Leroy tattoo? That's so cool.
So, anyways, 67 years of business here, supplying all the tropical goodness you could ever think of all over the world, literally. All the early and late tiki bars have, my dad's pretty much had his hand in all of it.
Yeah, so, everything from Trader Sam's to Trader Vic's,
to Trader Joe's.
Yeah, to Trader Joe's, literally,
Literally.
as we're going to see.
So he did a lot of art, extraordinary amount of art, and a lot of carvings, and so there's quite a few reference books that he would have been using throughout the years. Also interior decorating books, or just books from different countries so that they can get an idea of what things looked like in those countries before they made a carving that represented that country.
Yeah, this is before you could Google it.
Before you could Google
Before
it.
Wikipedia.
You had to go buy a book.
And that's the thing. So some people might be surprised to see so many different things. Like here's Arizona highways, there's model railroad or stuff.
So, yeah.
Because it wasn't just tiki stuff at Oceanic Arts, but especially not just tiki stuff for your dad, because he was an artist from how old?
We have art back there from him when he was 8, 7 years old. It's really good. Good stuff.
So he was always an artist.
Always
and
an
tiki
artist.
came late.
Yes, he did architecture in high school, really great at that. And then out of high school, he was recruited to this prestigious art school, and they started grooming him to be a mid-century modern artist. And out of that, he blew up into the tiki world.
That's
so
crazy.
That's the deal there.
That's okay. Okay, so let's look at some of the stuff. Let's check this out. I couldn't believe this stuff was in here when I walked in. I thought I had bought every last good thing in here. And you got all these posters in here. So this is all stuff for sale. So they even had a whole library of records.
They had a whole lot of records. We got records, and it's pretty much all tropical if you're into that.
What about the posters?
Posters, they've sold posters over the years. They've also received a lot of posters that had to do with airlines and Kodak and all the cool stuff from back in the 60s and the 70s. So posters galore. We have catalogs galore. If you want to style your home with really cool stuff, we have these catalogs that have really awesome pictures of what things should have looked like if you want to do some period pieces.
Wait a minute. Let me see this. Okay, we'll flip this back upside down. So this would be a catalog from one of their suppliers.
Yes.
For like rattan furniture and stuff. So some of this stuff is probably really rare and like...
I would say it's pretty rare.
There are probably some of those mid-century modern collector people who are like, oh, what about this? No way. And look, I see some of the tiki stuff here.
There's tiki stuff. There's a lot of catalog stuff, a lot of things that Bob would have gotten over the years because he did a lot of importing and exporting, and so companies would send him all kinds of brochures.
It's crazy. It's crazy that there's stuff from, like, you can tell from the 50s, and then there's stuff that's a lot more modern, like Tiki Caliente Tropics over here and stuff out in Palm Springs. But, I mean, is it weird for you that your dad built, like, a little piece of everywhere? I mean, there's people from all over the world like, hey, I've seen your dad's... Every time I travel, I'll send you pictures of like, look at your dad's carving in, I don't know, New York or wherever I'm at.
I wouldn't say it's weird. I'd just say that it warms my heart. And I know it warms our whole family's heart. Whenever we're out and we see our dad's stuff.
At Disneyland.
At Disneyland.
Every time you walk into Adventureland, it's my first land of the day, every day, walking past those masks. And it's your dad.
Yes. And
you can't get rid of him.
Growing up, it was fun. You know, he would carve things, paint things, install things at all the theme parks, and we'd get to go and see the opening of those, those items on display.
That's awesome. I love this. I love this because I get to go down memory lane with you, and we get to show all this cool stuff, so we probably better keep moving. Look at this. Oh, Tyler, come and check this out. By the way, everybody, we have Tyler behind the camera. How you doing, Tiki Tyler?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Tiki Tyler's doing well. Look at this. So what are these? These are all actual menus?
These are actual menus from these fine eating establishments over the years.
That's
from
crazy.
the
Trader
50s,
Vic's,
probably even earlier than that.
The Bali High. Wow, look at this. There's the Beverly Hills Trader Vic's over there. Oh my gosh. So these are really rare.
They're really rare.
Highly collectible stuff that they've...
And they've just filed them away in their library, and now they're seeing the light of day.
This is amazing because they did business with all of these places.
All these places.
Don the Beachcomber, Trader Vic's, all this stuff.
Yes.
This is really weird because you grew up not in this particular warehouse, but with the business all around you. So how into tiki did you get? Or was it like, oh, that's totally my dad's thing? Is it one of those things where you grew up and you're like, I'm sick of hearing about tiki?
No, I never got sick of tiki, but there was most of the years that I worked at the shop.
You worked here?
Yes, for probably 15 years of my life. The golden era of tiki started to fade.
Right. Oh, so you were coming in right when the tiki bars were closing down.
Yes, and they'd bring in shipments of stuff from a tiki bar that had closed down, and it was kind of sad. They're carrying them in, because they'd buy a lot of stuff back. And But they pivoted, you know, and they did all kinds of other restaurants, Mexican restaurants and Italian restaurants and Jolly Roger and anything that needed some great ambiance. I mean, they were able to supply that. So
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So your dad wasn't carving a lot of tikis when you were here working with them. He's carving like weird pirate heads and stuff.
Exactly.
That's so cool. Look at all this, Tyler. Look at this right here. This is actually perfect timing. Look at all these signs. I noticed when I drive into Whittier, there are hundreds and hundreds of wooden signs on different businesses. There's the Whittier welcomes you sign. And I can't help but think every time I see one, I bet that's Leroy Schmaltz.
Welcome to Whittier certainly is. And I know that, you know, there was a lot of times that, you know, all the old-fashioned hardware stores in town and all the camera shops, my dad would carve their signs for the front of their stores, you know. So
this is
very
nuts.
cool.
Look at this, Tyler, over here. There's a whole table full of all kinds of plants. Are these your dad's original drawings? Some of these
are his drawings of basically concepts for lights and lights that they did make and lights that they have yet to make, but they won't ever get to that. So
this is
but
incredible.
some really fun stuff.
And from
Some
what I
lighting
understand, this is just the tip of the iceberg, even for what's going to be in the sale on Saturday,
Yeah,
right?
there's going to be a lot more stuff.
Because
in
you
this.
just told me I have hours left to go. I have hours.
5 hours.
How many hours have you guys put into this? Because look at this, Tyler. The entire warehouse. I swear the last time I was here, it felt like it was empty. There was just some shelves,
I thought
display
it was
cases.
empty. I thought it was empty, and stuff keeps coming out. But this is it. This is the final blowout.
And so
it's stuff that people have never, ever, ever seen before.
Yeah, because this is stuff
I never
that you
saw
guys
it.
never saw.
I never saw it. So
well, I saw Bob. As we were showing up, Bob, who was the other half of Bob and Leroy of Oceanic Arts, the other owner, he was leaving, and he was telling me, there's stuff in there I've never seen, which is really, really crazy. Okay, so this is what I wanted to get to. I thought this was earlier. There's a Trader Joe's pattern. And I can remember in the 90s coming in here and bugging your dad, right? Because your sister is how I met him. And they were like practicing in here, practicing with their punk rock band. And I came in here like, forget the music. What is all this? And I'd watch Leroy carve stuff. He was never carving tikis. He was carving like hundreds of Trader Joe's signs.
Tons of those. Just routing them out and then chiseling them. And
so what did you do when you worked here? What kind of stuff were you doing?
so the main thing that I would do is, you know, all the shields, all the masks, all the war clubs that you would buy off the shelf or that companies or theme parks, whatever, would order. I was painting them, staining them, painting them, sanding them. Making them look authentic.
That is so cool.
My dad taught us all how to beat things up and make them look old.
So you were aging them and all that kind of stuff? Oh, because I remember aging.
Served me well in life.
I was trying to age that one tiki I carved, and then I remember you sent me a text. I was like, hey, by the way, there was a little bit of, there was this and this secret ingredient in some of the aging
sent
sauce.
some of the secret ingredients your way.
I love that you know. I need to pick your brain more for some of them. Okay, so there's all kinds of plans here. There's going to be even more.
Yes.
I can't believe how much is left. So this is stuff Bob is like finding in drawers. You guys are finding in filing cabinets and drawers everywhere.
Exactly.
But there's still signs.
There is this giant sign. Who needs a giant Mickey's eating establishment?
What's Mickey's eating establishment?
Well, I think it was Western.
Okay, so it wasn't Disney.
No.
But that's still awesome. There's all this stuff that your dad painted, obviously. Pieces of wood.
All the stuff he painted. So if people want a piece of Oceanic Arts that was actually up, holding the rafters, holding his art, he painted all these 2x4s, 2x6s.
I can't believe.
Look pretty.
I can't believe there's a chainsaw left. First of all, on this table over here, and I can't believe that these giant tables are. I mean, I guess it's a hard sell because I know they've been for sale for a while. Tell me a little bit about these tables.
So these amazing tables came from 20th Century Fox Studios. I remember when I was junior high or younger, they'd bring in all kinds of flatbeds full of props and things from the props department from 20th Century Fox, and they would, you know, fix them up and resell them or use them here at the shop. So it's from 20th Century Fox.
Look at that thing. Look at the size of it.
Vintage industrial work table right there.
It's like the size of a railroad car. It's huge.
Let me tell you about this.
This chainsaw?
Yeah. So there's quite a few chainsaws around here because my dad was always going through them. But he did sign his name on this one. And so my family decided, and Bob said it would be cool that we take this and we're probably going to auction it off or do a raffle.
Ooh.
The money is going to go to my daughter's medical fund because she's been
fighting Lyme disease.
Chronic illness.
Yeah. I got Lyme disease and it was no fun, and I don't think I've been hit by the chronic symptoms, but I remember just that little bit, and it's like, that's not an easy thing.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a raffle. It's
so
a
there's going to
Leroy
be
Schmaltz.
raffled off or auctioned off, and then Bob came out of his office and said, I've had this in my office for 50 years.
No kidding.
I want you to have a Tiki for Tatty auction as well. So both of these will be raffled or auctioned off. We'll let people know.
That is so cool. Okay, and so that's going to be on Saturday. It's 9 to 4.
9 to 4 on Saturday.
And I'm sorry if you're watching this afterwards. It's still a piece of history worth documenting, which is why we're doing this. But also, if you're watching this before, get down to Whittier, 9 to 4. Just Google Oceanic Arts because it still comes up on the maps.
Yes,
it says it's permanently closed, but there's this one exception. And this is really it. Like, if you don't come now and get your piece of Oceanic Arts history now, that's it.
Yes, and I think my wife's telling me a different time.
What's the time? 9 to 2?
9 to 2.
9 to 2. You can show up at 3, but you're not getting in the door. My bad. Okay, 9 to 2. But so this is really it. So if whatever is left after this weekend, it's not going to be another Thursday sale.
No.
There's not going to be another Wednesday night sale. Not going to be a yard sale.
We've already given too much of our lives.
Yeah.
And we got to go. We got to move back home to San Diego.
Right.
We're moving away from Whittier again. So that's the deal here. There is no more sales here. Bob's got a few pieces of office furniture that we might put out on the docks, but that's about it.
Yeah. So this is really, because I saw the for sale sign on the building. So
It's
it
on
really
there.
is.
Yeah.
Well, just because, I kept coming for the Thursday sales and I put something out on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram, by the way. You can even follow Chris on Instagram because, by the way, he's not going to say this about himself. Chris is a fantastic artist. It's Schmaltzland Creations on Instagram. It's all one word, Schmaltzland Creations. I follow him. Just look at who I'm following. You go follow Chris because he's a really talented painter and you do all the aging and stuff. I was in here helping you do like Oceanic Art stencils on stuff. And you're like, oh, you got to hit that with a little sandpaper, with a little dust on it. Like, you're a great artist. Don't sell yourself short. But you haven't even been able to work on your own art.
No.
Because your whole family has actually been caught up in this
We've been caught up in it.
For a year, helping to...
Yes, we want to finish well. We want Bob to finish well.
You've been filling in for your dad, basically.
Basically doing that, yes.
As they close down the very final stuff. Look at all this. I can't believe how much stuff is left. There's so many little cool boxes and hats.
Some really fun things. These hats, they got little tags on them because they were basically like inventory that you would have bought this exact hat,
Right.
These are all just different samples of those hats. These are real vintage leis, which are pretty cool because they're
like
not just
feathers?
the plastic stuff here.
Those feel like feathers. I don't know what that's made out of.
I think it is feathers.
That's really crazy.
But the items just go on and on. How about this? That's an amazing piece.
Yeah, what is that made out of?
That is made out of plaster. And it's actually a famous artist.
Well, I was just about to say, the thing about Oceanic Arts that was so weird, it's not just Leroy carving tikis on demand or whatever, and it's not just the prop rental side of it, and not just the creating all the signs. Like, they had a little bit of like a finger in everything. So they would sell decor. There was a little bit of walk-in traffic. Not always. I can remember the days of coming in here and then Bob kind of following me around. This kid doesn't own a bar or restaurant. What's he doing in here?
Right.
And then today he was saying goodbye to me. He was like, love you, guy. And I was like, we've come a long way, Bob and I, from thinking I'm a shoplifter to giving me the hug goodbye,
Yeah, he was probably checking your pockets when
he's probably still watching, And look at all these bells. So there's all the nautical stuff. So that's what I was going to say. There's all the nautical stuff. But they supplied all kinds of weird stuff for movies. I know they did Pirates of the Caribbean and Gilligan's Island movies. And
Disney movies. I remember when we were young, we went to the drive-in theater to see Lieutenant Robinson Crusoe. It's a Disney movie with Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, my gosh.
My entire family went to the drive-in to see all of my dad's stuff in there. And then after the second showing, we fell asleep.
Lieutenant Robinson Crusoe?
Yes. We fell asleep in the back of our pickup truck, and at 3 in the morning, the guy cleaning the drive-in was like, family, it's time to go home.
See, I really want to do a sit-down with you at some point because you have so many just freaking cool stories and like weird times working here. And, of course, you knew all the other carvers, which especially the book, the Godfathers of Tiki book, people have finally gotten to know not just like Bob and Leroy's story, but Ed Chrisman and all these other guys that work here.
Some of my favorite people in the world.
So you grew up with some of the most famous tiki carvers.
I was just a little kid, and they were just big, burly dudes that were a lot of fun.
That's what I'm saying. So you've got all kinds of stories. So even stuff like this.
Yeah, people can buy some things that are unfinished Leroy pieces. Finish it for my dad.
I mean, that's insane. I mean, what other artist in the world could you go and buy an unfinished piece and maybe finish that carving? You asked me earlier, like, you want to finish that? I go, I don't know if I have that skill level yet. But if it comes between that and a dumpster, I'll put it in the rafters and I'll wait till I'm good enough to give it a whack. But look at all this stuff. Look at all the different props and stuff. I mean, I know Bob is a big bottle guy.
A big bottle guy. Used to be, I think, president of the Bottle Club in LA for quite a few years. But there's so many, just old signage, posters, pictures. Whittier, this is 75 years of Whittier's existence.
So that means 1962. So
Yes.
what were they doing? Maybe they made that sign for a party or something? I know
no,
they did stuff with Chamber of Commerce.
I think that this was an actual Whittier sign, and they probably took it after the big celebration.
This is so crazy. Look at this. Screen romances.
Oh, man. Doesn't get any crazier than that.
You get in all kinds of trouble here. But yeah, look at the ice thing. And you don't know what they inherited as a prop because an old tiki bar closed down, or what they got. I know they got stuff at prop auctions sometimes.
Yeah,
from the
they always did. This came from a
studios.
movie studio right here.
What is that?
Colonel Peachtree's Mint Julep. So this was a movie prop, and I remember when we got these props, there was all kinds of little drugstore bottles with candies.
Yeah.
They were supposed to look real, or the kind of balls you can break over your head.
And what would they use that stuff
cannonballs.
for?
Well, this would be lined up in a bar. Let's say you're watching Bonanza or something, or some old Western.
Yeah, because it wasn't just the carving, and it wasn't just the wholesaling decor,
yes.
but they would also sort of do interior designing.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to supply a restaurant, you want to create the ambiance. So, that you might have a shelf with some of this on it, or some of these other things, just to make it look like it's legitimate, not just a few carvings around. So.
Now, how much did they teach you when you came to work here versus how much did they just throw you in the deep end? Because I've heard some kind of legendary stories about your dad that some kid would be coming by and go, what's going on in here? And he'd say, come bring a chisel and you can start work tomorrow. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that my dad's teaching skills were pretty much just do it.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Because all of his advice to me about carving was just cut away everything that's not the tiki.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pretty helpful.
That was the whole, and then every time I'd ask him a follow-up question, just cut away everything that's not the tiki.
Yeah, he just felt it wasn't as hard as you're making it out to be, so just go for it. And I think that's probably a good way to learn, just going for it.
It's weird. Every genius that I've ever met, anyone that's really talented, whether it's engineering or art or anything like that, they all say the kind of same thing. Yeah. You're thinking about it too much. It's easy. Yeah. It's easy for you to say. You're a genius, master carving artist. Okay, so we got all of that. There's a ton of tools over here, Tyler, if you want to bring the camera around this way. So these are all Oceanic Arts tools. Oh, wait, we got to point this out really quick. This locker right here. Look at this. So where are these from?
So basically, these lockers, I don't know, they've been here as long as I can remember, and some of those early carvers that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
One of them, his nickname was Desert King, so it says DK on there. But, the guys would come to work, and they'd open that up, and they'd throw their motorcycle helmet, if they wore one, and their gear in there, and maybe their lunch. And that was just the old shop lockers.
And that was hiding in the back somewhere.
It was just stuck in the back.
And this was at the old locations too?
This has been at, I think, every location right here.
Really?
Yeah.
So this might even go all the way back to the old green barn and the 50s.
It definitely goes back to the one that's right next to the pet hospital.
Which is
three back at least. I've been seeing it that long. So.
And look at all this.
And there's just still things to...
Bags of corks over here.
Things to create things.
You got banana thatch.
It really is the end of everything here. And so this is things left over that people can come here and just create their own items, their own lamps. All of these things right here came out of... they had some big boxes of, over the years, people that supply this stuff would send them samples for since the 1950s on. These samples have been coming in here, and Bob loves to keep everything. And so here they are, and I'm just thinking, man, if you're a person that wants to build some lamps or do something crafty, you got the stuff.
You could probably still build 100 tiki lamps out of just what is here.
I'm thinking so.
And then you've got bags of tapa cloth.
Yeah.
Explain what these are, because I think some of the times I'd come on Thursdays, people would skip over really good stuff because they didn't know what it was.
You can make a lamp out of this pretty easy by putting some cross beams down there out of bamboo.
And then there's patterns. And that was the other thing I saw people skipping over because they didn't realize what they were.
Yeah, you kind of got to know what you're looking at. And if you can find somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Is that what those are down there on the bottom shelf?
Those would be patterns, yeah. Cardboard.
So those are all things your dad
made over the years
Made
to
as
make his
templates.
job easier.
Oh, I
Yes.
see all the circles up here. Look on the top shelf. Every
There
time
they
I'm
are.
trying to cut out a circle, I'm losing my mind. Oh, he's
It's
got all
hard.
his handwriting
Circles are
on
not
there.
easy.
See, what I love about Leroy is that he's a world-class artist that created stuff that people, literally millions of people have enjoyed, whether they knew it was him or not.
Right.
He's only just now starting to be recognized. Thanks a lot to the peekaboo stuff in the book and the auction. Sadly, thanks a lot to closing, weirdly. It's like, and then, of course, we just lost him pretty recently.
Yeah.
But I love that this is a weird opportunity to pick up a piece of something from like this really prolific, really great artist that the whole world doesn't really know about yet. And I feel like in 100 years, it'll be like, you've got a Schmaltz? I can't believe you have a Schmaltz, which I think would tickle your dad to death.
Yeah.
Like he would just love that.
Yeah.
And speaking of art, we're going to go now and see the other half.
Beautiful.
The other sale, because you got all this Oceanic Arts stuff, and Tyler, if you flip around one more time, you can see there's a lot more. There's way too much for us to go piece by piece. There's an old cash register, there's bamboo, there are display cases, there are all kinds of scraps of carving wood I don't want you guys to see because I'm hoping that I can get my dirty, grubby little paws on that stuff. Maybe Chris and I can make a deal in the back room. Nope, there's no backroom deals. It's all going to be here on Saturday for everybody. Look at these general store cases from Chicago. But the coolest thing, the best thing going on, you can hear they're still doing a little bit of work back here, getting ready. The best thing is back here in what used to be Leroy's workshop, which used to be totally off limits. The public would never get a chance to see this. What do we got going on in here, Chris?
So our family decided to have kind of just an art show and sale in honor of our dad, Leroy. And I don't think there's ever been an art show that's had all of his work at once, just the different types of art that Leroy has done over the years. And it's just amazing when you walk through there, right?
It's really cool.
It's overwhelming, just the different genres that he loved to work in, the different mediums that he worked. I mean, it's amazing. And so just to honor our dad, we thought we would have an event. And so Friday night, this Friday coming up, we are going to be here from 4 o'clock to 8. And it's an art show and sale. We'll also have it open during the Oceanic Arts sale as well.
Okay.
We'll just let a limited amount of people in at a time because it's set up like an art gallery. So we don't want things to be bumped or whatever.
This is so cool.
A great deal of it for sale. There's carvings, there's paintings, there's assemblages, on and on.
Yeah. Okay, Tyler. Walk through that door there. Walk through that door there, my friends. Look at this. Look at the size of this exhibit. This is so cool, Chris, because as Tyler looks around at all the art, I've told you this before. I would always come in here, and Leroy was always the most proud to talk to me about, like, well, I'm really a painter, and I do sculpture, I do all kinds of art. I don't just do tikis. And when the tiki people, he'd always say, well, if you enjoyed that thing I carved for your backyard, it's like he didn't maybe know the value of his tiki work, or maybe it was that he thought, oh, I do all this other art. I wish people could appreciate that stuff. But there was never a way to see it.
Right.
So I think for a lot of people coming to the sale or coming out here this weekend, this might be the first time they ever have seen this much, at least, of
all at
Leroy's art.
For sure.
Because this isn't commercial art. This isn't stuff that he created for restaurants or bars or whatever. This is stuff he created just out of
passion for art. So, and it goes through different eras. I mean, we have the mid-century section in the middle here.
Is that where we're standing right now?
We're standing in mid-century.
Look at this, Tyler. Look at this. Look at all these paintings. Well, there you go. That's very mid-century.
So,
right
yeah,
there.
these are all things he would have painted in the 50s and 60s. And
so he just kept this all?
Yeah, we've had it in storage forever. And
look at that wall.
It's time for people to see it because it's more than just tikis.
Look at this wall right here.
Amazing art that would look great in people's homes. So,
now this is incredible because it's like he had such a great career with Oceanic Arts, obviously. It's like he never got his other fine art career off the ground, but he kept creating it anyways.
Right.
That is so cool. So all this stuff is for sale?
It is all for sale. If it's in here, it's going to be for sale.
This is what I was talking about. Like, it's not just your last chance to get a piece of Oceanic Arts. A lot of people grab little pieces of that. It's a really weird, rare opportunity to get a legitimate art piece from an artist who's like, I almost feel like hasn't been discovered yet.
Right.
because this stuff is insane. It is so creative and so weird. And I thought I knew about Leroy's art until I started seeing some of the little art shows he do, like at that Seeds Art Gallery and stuff. And you're like, this is some really bizarre, like recycled art. Some of it he carved. Like, look at this demented Pinocchio puppet thing. And your dad was so funny because he'd carve like a Frankenstein, and he'd make like, look at what is this is like a weird torture device.
Seems like a torture device to me, for sure. I mean,
what in the world?
Just commentary on life,
Look
the tortures of life.
The snakes.
Right. That's called I think the
What's it
7
say?
Deadly Sins or something right there.
Devise wicked schemes. Okay, yeah, there's a bunch of different writings on this.
Each snake represents a deadly sin. So that's the deal there.
That's something else that a lot of people didn't know about Leroy, is Leroy was a big time family man. At least I think of him as a family man because he was always talking about you guys. And then I know some of your family's like, he was what? He was talking about us? Like, yeah, he'd always go, oh, my grandkids doing this and doing that and doing that. So he may have grunted at the dinner table, but he was always talking about you guys to me. But he is also a big man of faith.
Right.
And that has obviously, I mean, I don't know how that would bleed into Tiki artwork, but it's obviously bled into a lot of this artwork. Look at those like crosses up there, really crazy.
Yeah, we kind of put a little of the religious item sections together there. So,
but I love that he incorporated a lot of like, there's a lot in the artwork. It's like there's a lot of depth to it because he could always talk about like, well, it's this and this, and it's inspired by this and this. But then there's other stuff that's just crazy looking.
Right.
Like,
it's just out of control.
It's like really
It's
surrealistic and like really modern. And what were you saying your dad graduated high school?
So when he graduated high school, they kind of gave him a scholarship, full ride to go to an art school in LA, just so that he could, they saw him as an up-and-coming mid-century modern artist, you know, and he was really good.
And this is like what years?
Gosh.
Mid-50s?
I'm not even sure when he graduated high school, 53 or so.
But the crazy thing is that nobody knows. Your mom, Leroy's wife, Vivian, was also a crazy good artist, like a painter, right?
In fact, we have one of her pieces of art in here. You stay here and I'll go grab it.
Is it hidden? Oh, you're going to go see it. Okay, well, I'm going to guide people around. Okay, look at this, guys. This is the craziest thing ever. Look at all the different woodblock prints. You got, oh, that looks like John Muir up there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does
looks
look
like a John Muir drawing.
It does.
I've never seen, I knew he loved like stuff from the Southwest.
Yeah, he really loves Southwest art.
Because he was telling me, the last time I talked to him, and I was in the backyard with him, he's sunning himself. He was telling me I was going on that cross-country road trip, and I didn't know which way to go. He's like, you got to go to the Rockies. You got to go down to New Mexico. They got the Pueblos down there.
He loved. He would always, if we went camping or just went anywhere, he'd have his sketchbooks and he'd be drawing. A lot of these things are. He would draw these houses and then he would paint them into a different scene than where they originally were found. A lot of these old cars. One of these cars he was drawing when, years ago we went on a missions trip to the Kumeyaay Indians in Mexico, and he was drawing a car that was out there.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
All the stuff. I mean, there's stuff. This is the old Whittier Theater right here.
Really?
Yeah, and this right here is, it's called the Tin Hulk. It's in Whittier. It's right around the corner.
This looks like Bodie to me.
That's probably Bodie. You're right.
Bodie the ghost.
And I think this is my brother and my mom.
No kidding.
Walking there.
Oh yeah, and speaking of your mom, you found the painting.
I did. I found the painting. See, mid-century. I mean, it's just so funky.
So they were doing this stuff in the 50s.
Yes.
I mean, that means they were like on the cutting edge of like the art styles and the modernism, the colors.
So yeah, they got all the right colors going on in there for sure.
See, I met your mom as like grandma.
Right.
She's everybody's grandma, and she's like, oh, you got to eat something and whatever. And I never knew she was like this crazy bohemian artist back in the day.
Who knows? They were in that green barn together all those years being bohemian artists.
That's so cool.
So anyways, and then, we're not done setting up, but we're going to have a lot of art from his earlier years.
Oh, yeah.
6 years old on up. This is some of his high school architecture that he was doing right here, and we'll have a lot more of it up for the show. So
again, you're in high school in the early 1950s, and then look at this over here, Tyler. Look at this, guys. That is so ahead of its time then, if that's from architecture class.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really like... I don't know. It's like so cutting edge for that time. And then he stayed that way all the way through the 70s, because I've seen all the weird artwork he was doing in the 70s for different restaurants and stuff.
I love the little details on here, little fish, those fun little mid-century designs.
And then you became an artist. I know Edie is an artist.
Edie's amazing.
And so like the apple didn't fall far from the tree then with all you guys.
No, it's just, it's in the blood.
I love this stuff. Okay, let's see.
Our folks just gave us permission to do whatever with whatever medium we wanted. So it's kind of, that was a lot of it. They were kind of like, we'll just do it. And we'd have a lot of times where we were making crafts together or decorating together or painting together, throwing parties and doing all the decorations. So we learned a lot.
I'm
just
having trouble
there with our dad.
I'm having trouble talking or even thinking because there's so much stuff here. There's like pen and ink sketches, there's paintings, there are models, there are carvings, there's just like, it's so many different mediums. Like, he was definitely a mixed media artist, I guess you could say. Look at this. And then the woodblock prints. We didn't even see the paintings over here. There's sketches. There's so much in here already, and this isn't even all of it?
We've still got some more to bring out.
Oh my God.
I mean, we can't really fit anything else in, so we're winding up for sure. But I mean, I would love to be able to put everything out, but we can't. But look at that stuff. It's just amazing.
I feel like
this is from his younger days.
Look at this. Look at this right here, Tyler. Check that out.
And this is age 9.
You're kidding me.
It's pretty sweet.
Oh my gosh. So of course, and I know people are going to ask this question, so I got to ask you even though I know the answer. And of course, he's got a ton of kids and grandkids, and you guys already went through and got stuff out for yourselves and for the family, right? So we don't have to feel guilty when we're like, it's Leroy age 9 drawing.
Yeah, in fact, that's a great question because we already decided we weren't going to sell his younger art. So that's kind of a display back there with his high school and all that kind of stuff.
So some of that stuff might be like, maybe not this one.
It's mostly just the things when he was a 9-year-old.
Right.
You know, like his young art. So
but look at this. Look at all the woodblock prints on the wall.
All this other stuff is definitely for sale. Some of these are signed and numbered, and some of them aren't. So.
This is the kind of stuff where I feel like we're really lucky to get to come to it because it's the kind of thing where you think like, this should be in some crazy, like the Guggenheim, or I don't know what's in the Guggenheim. I've never been in the Guggenheim. It should be in LACMA or something. I've been to LACMA. Yeah, Guggenheim is fun to say. That's all I know. Look at this. This is so weird. There's like an old DuPont can lid and this guy on there. This is what I think of when I think of Leroy's like personal art. That face.
Yeah, that face.
That face is really familiar. Wow.
He loved to just find things and use them in his art. So a lot of found objects. A lot of his art, you'll see a lot of these. Those are paint can lids. And they would have been in a lot of these pieces. They just feature paint can lids because he never wanted to throw something away. He just wanted to use it. And he saw something beautiful in it. So
I remember seeing jars of pencils that were like sharpened all the way down. And he just had jars of pencils.
Yeah.
Why not? I can't believe this was the workshop that I've been in so many times. I've never seen it from wall to wall. I never knew it was this huge.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this place like this? Maybe when they moved in.
I've been cleaning it for months. So.
This is insane. This is so crazy. Oh, and then here he is right here. It's the man himself, Leroy Schmaltz, all the way down to the end. But there are carvings in here too, though.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like all the tiki is gone. There's a little bit of that stuff if people like it. But I love the seabirds. Like there's so much stuff in here, Chris. I don't even know what to say.
Look at this sweet bird.
I feel like even you're a little bit at a loss for words.
I am at a loss for words. This is one of my favorite pieces. I'd never seen it before, and it was up at the house, and I think he painted it for a Halloween that they did up there, and it was one of those landscape prints, and he just painted over the whole thing completely. And so I think it originally had a stream, but he turned it into a zombie stream, and a little Gothic type city back there.
Yeah, like creepy emerald city.
Vultures in the trees, a creepy emerald city. Yeah, it just.
Oh, look
Leroy.
at that. There's a couple of Leroy Borneo Wildmen left. I know what those are because he had one for sale as a CD case years ago. Yes. And I remember the CDs were already on their way out and thinking, no one's ever going to
buy that. But, you know, those were actually on stage at a big Disney function.
Were they?
Yeah, I think where they honored my dad. How about this? Have you ever seen
what in the world is this? Because we didn't even see this coming in. It's above our heads. What is that?
It's something from the mind of Leroy Schmaltz. It basically was hanging in our backyard next to a staghorn fern that weighed about as much as a Volkswagen. It's just giant, and it's a piece of art that he put up there to highlight that plant. So some of this stuff came out of our yard.
Oh man, were those from your house too, back
Those
here?
are off of our house.
Okay, because I've been trying to describe your house to people for years. That like, if you went to Leroy's house, there was not a beam or a piece of wood anywhere on that property that wasn't carved.
Carved and painted and made everything look beautiful. So
This is so cool.
when we have to tear something apart because it's dilapidating, there's always some cool carvings on it.
Yeah.
It's a plus, and we got to keep those. So that's the deal.
So are you glad, sad, a mix?
You know, of course I'm sad. We
Yeah.
all miss our dad. I mean, every day we miss our dad. And, but super glad that Jordan did such a great job on that book.
Yeah.
And as you were talking about, so many people got to know who Oceanic Arts was in just a deeper level and see my dad's work, and we're totally stoked. And yeah, I mean, this will be a piece of our life completely gone, you know.
Yeah.
But it'll be in here.
But it's weird because you kind of filled in his shoes really well, like taking care of all this stuff and stepping in for, I know, for your family and stuff. And I've been watching you like working hard and doing all this stuff. And I've got to know you, which has been like a super treat. I knew Leroy for 20 years. And it's funny is if you knew Leroy for 20 years, you maybe got like a couple of pages worth of dialogue out of him. So reading that book was fantastic. It was like getting to know him all over
I
again.
learned so much in that book.
And it must be weird for you stepping into this. You were learning a lot about your dad.
Yeah.
But I think the coolest part for me, coming to all these different sales and watching people go up to you and go, you know, your dad, I saw him do this thing, or he built this thing, or I bought this thing from him. So that must be really cool. So it's the end of an era.
It is the end of an era.
It's a bittersweet thing.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you giving us the time to walk around and check things out and come in here before the sale. And we'll try and get this video out as soon as we can, so as many people know as possible, because people kept asking me, are they done? I just wanted to go in and get one more piece.
Yeah.
So this is it. One last
is it.
piece. Save it from the dumpster. Come get yourself a Schmaltz.
Come get a Schmaltz.
All right.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Justin.
you, Chris.
Love you, man.
I love you guys. All right. Okay, well, we had to let Chris get back to work. He's back there with his whole family, and they are still finding things that were in boxes from home, from the Leroy art sale. They're still finding stuff that was back in the library or back in these weird nooks and crannies at Oceanic Arts. I've been coming to Oceanic Arts at this location for years and years, and I literally got let into a room I didn't know existed. It was boarded up for years and years, so they've been finding everything from all these little nooks and crannies, and every single thing that they've found has been chucked out here for these final sales. And I know, I've been down here at Oceanic Arts many times. We've had many video adventures here, both when Bob and Leroy were still running the business actively, and of course as it's closed down. And I know you're thinking, another Oceanic Arts video, but this really is the end of an era. Even Tiki Tyler, our Tiki cameraman today, was saying he had never come down here in its heyday, but he's like, it's one of those places you thought would last forever. Didn't you say that, Tyler?
I did. That was almost verbatim.
Yes, and it was like, I'm sad to see a place like this go. But you know, all the great things, all good things must come to an end. Just look at some of this stuff. Can you believe stuff like that exists, Tyler?
No, it's that paper stuff like this is just, you know, it's hard. It's hard to keep that stuff around. You think it just gets thrown away or whatever. And it's all here.
It's amazing. They have like the contracts. They've got diagrams and blueprints for like some of this stuff, like these boats here. I mean, the Oceanic Arts sold various hand-carved Leroy Schmaltz boats all over the world. And in fact, there are still tiki artists and people at tiki marketplaces copying Leroy's ideas, you know, to this very day. Some of the great Leroy masks and carvings and stuff, and some of the lamps and lights that they designed here. And the crazy thing is, Bob and Leroy went out to the South Pacific, and they did a whole big trip back in the days where some of the native islanders weren't creating this stuff anymore because missionaries still had kind of control, and they couldn't make stuff like this. They would learn all these authentic things and sort of, in a weird roundabout way, help to popularize cultures that would then take it and run with it and bring the culture back to their own native island. But then they would also do cartoony stuff like Disney stuff and totally fictional and total fantasy stuff and things like Trader Vic's. And so it's a whole weird, wild piece of history. And it's just been an honor and a privilege to be a very small part of Oceanic Arts history. You get to come be a fly on the wall here a lot and get to get invited in by Bob and Leroy. And now, of course, Leroy's family are doing their best to close things up and say their final farewell. And they've been putting up with all this stuff and trying to get ready for the sale for a long time, so I know they probably in one way can't wait to get out the door. But I'm really grateful that we got to come in here and take a last look around, see some of these crazy artifacts, things you'll never see again here at Oceanic Arts. So we're going to say our final aloha now. Thank you guys for watching. Make it out to the sales if you can. If you're seeing this afterwards, I'm sorry that you missed out on the wonder and majesty that was Oceanic Arts, but you can go backwards. We have videos of it in its prime, in the heyday. And of course, you can pick up the book, The Godfathers of Tiki, all about Oceanic Arts that Peekaboo Gallery did. But that's it. That's all from me and Tiki Tyler. Say goodbye, Tyler.
Goodbye, Tyler.
And you have done your duty. Check out the links down below. Go home or sleep well. Was ground zero for Tiki. Almost every Tiki restaurant in the world has got something supplied by this company. This is where they made all the Tiki stuff. This is where they did all the Tiki everything. I don't know what I'm talking about. Why am I saying this? Once upon a time, Hugh Hauser went on a quest in LA for a hot, 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 hot pepper. No, this is dumb. I love you guys. All right, that's it.